All right, so we're live on YouTube. I'm going to send the link over to Missy to put up on the website.
Why did I just lose the meeting?
Can you hear us?
We can still hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, commissioners.
Hello.
Happy Friday.
You too. Bill, I'm totally jealous. Just
He
saying.
doesn't
How are
look
you,
any
Brad?
tanner though. So
I made sure the lighting didn't make it look any better.
either that or you're a winter Montanan that's got so much ground to catch up on skin tone that you could be
I'm
there
just going to
another
show
month.
you what the view from my room looks like right now.
Just a reminder, we are being streamed currently.
It didn't sound like you fooled anyone, Commissioner Lane.
There's virtually no empathy for Mr. Lane.
Hi, Commissioner Waller.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody.
Afternoon.
Can anyone tell? I have no heat in my house, so I'm like,
That's not the problem that Bill's has.
why do you say that?
He's on vacation right now in someplace sunny.
You're like,
It's
how do I
warmer.
make it look like an office?
Yeah, it's only about 82 here right now.
Oh, sounds amazing. Yeah, no, my boiler's going out. And so hopefully they can get to it either late this afternoon or Monday. But yeah, I'm sitting here literally in my sweatpants and blanket. It's cold.
It's hard to type on a computer when you got gloves on.
I'll go ahead and mute just in case.
Just about time, 3 more minutes.
Recording.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Good afternoon.
I'm,
We're-
I'm
What was up?
I'm just working on kind of a sketchy Wi-Fi, so if video goes off, I'm just trying to save some bandwidth.
Okay. Yeah, hopefully mine works well today also, so. So I guess I didn't ask, does somebody have an American flag ready to put up on the screen for our Pledge of Allegiance? No.
Becky, have you got that handy?
Oh, sure.
I'm on it.
I do have a single stamp in here. All right, started as soon as we get that flag up. All right, that's good. That will work. Okay. If everyone would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
To the
to
republic.
the republic for which it stands,
One nation.
one nation,
Under God.
under God,
Indivisible.
indivisible, with liberty
Well,
and justice for all.
all right, thank you, everyone. All right, Quentin, if you would take over, please.
Thank you, Chair Robinson, other members of the commission, and Director Warsack. For the record, my name is Quentin Kujala. Fortunate to be Chief of Staff for Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, and I'll open with a brief overview of process and how we have got here today and what we are here today to discuss, Chair. Today's meeting can be characterized as a next step in process that had its initial description laid down in the final adoption this past August 20th, as the commission adopted the final definition for the 2021 wolf season, the season we're in right now. That adoption included a harvest, a commission review, and several definitions of review. There was a review identified at a statewide harvest of 450 wolves, and then those 450 wolf number was broken down per region based on the relative numbers of wolves at the regional scale that ultimately populate the number of wolves at the statewide scale. That is to say, the number of estimated wolves in the region. Through that math, the similar check-in, the commission review for Region 3 was identified at 82 wolves. We are not yet at 82 wolves. We approach 82 wolves today. Recognizing the proximity of harvest to that commission review, we're here to talk about, offer the commission the information we have to date relative to harvest as it relates to this conversation. That information, Chair, has been provided to the commission. It's also been posted on the website for the public to obtain. So I won't take time here today other than specific questions that the commission might ask of us, but we'll move forward with the assumption that folks either have that in their hand right now or have reviewed it already. Again, happy to look closer at those and offer some information, but we'll wait for questions to guide that way. Again, the 2021 final adoption in August by the commission identified a commission rule at the statewide harvest level of 450 wolves. We have not reached that, broke that 450 down to regional totals. 82 is Region 3. We're close to that. And so that's what we're here to talk about. The conversation is confined by that. It is a Region 3 wolf conversation. It is also a Region 3 season 2021 conversation. So this is not about what next season might or could or should look like. That is a conversation with the commission and independent public that's scheduled for later this summer, June to August. Again, this is a conversation bound by the agenda topic to a review of the wolf season in Region 3 as it relates to the 2021 season and harvest. Chair Robinson, with that rapid and perhaps too quick overview, would stand for question.
What is the count as of today for Region 3? Oh, you're on mute, Quentin.
Sorry, I believe the count is at 6. Sorry, I got a background noise here.
Background, go ahead. What was it again?
I believe the count is at 78. Is that correct? Staff, back me up here.
All right.
Yes, I believe it is 78 as of today.
Thank you.
Commissioners, are there any questions for Quentin? Commissioner Siebel?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple of questions for Mr. Kujala, and I'm looking. First of all, I wanted to compliment the staff on adding the wolf harvest. First of all, the wolf dashboard, the harvest dashboard, has been very helpful, and I hope that the other members of the commission and the public also are aware of it and look at that information. And I really want to thank the staff for adding the wolf harvest info tab, which went into the detail of the dates, the drainages, the wolf management unit numbers where everything was harvested. So I'll start with that and lead off with that. Really important. And I went back through and just, but first of all, I guess I'd ask right now, the dashboard showing 76 in region 3. So I just want to make sure, is there an update from today that we're missing? I saw the numbers change, but none of those, I think there was a 390, but that came out yesterday, but I just wanted to double check.
Sorry, Commissioner Siebel, the dashboard, not Quentin, is up to date.
Okay. I'm going to refresh my dashboard, but yeah, just to be clear that we're at we're 84. We appear to be at wolf harvest by region. Yeah, 76 out of 82. So just to be clear, and I wanted to just ask you a few questions, Quentin. Going through now and looking at the dates of the harvest and stuff, can you talk about, we've got obviously a lot of comments and a lot of what I would consider somewhat sensational comments on numbers and the magnitude of what was happening. And I guess I looked through the data, looked through the dates, and I know we talked about this information, but that information's out there. Can you talk a little bit about the harvest in first in Wolf Management Unit 316? Can you talk about that? I've got the data in front of me, but I wanted to ask it as in the form of a question.
Yeah, Commissioner Siebel, I appreciate that, and Chair Robinson. So specific to 313, in the period of season start to December 31st, there were 12 hunter harvests, and then in the period January 1 to present in 313, there have been 3 hunter harvests and 2 trapper harvests for a total of 5, totaling 17 total. Again, 12 in WMU 313 up to 31st of December, and 5 since January 1. Commissioner Siebel, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you, Quentin. And just to clarify again, just because again, I found this information really helpful to look at. That really the harvest has been spread out, and there's been 5 harvested in 313 since Wolf Management Unit 313 since the beginning of the year. And just for clarity too, in Wolf Management Unit 316, there based on my data, there's only been 3 harvested total in the whole season, and all 3 of those were back in September. So there hasn't been any harvest in 316 since mid-September. Is that correct?
That is correct, Commissioner Siebel.
Okay. I just want to have that on the record too. So, and again, thank the department for having that information out there, just so everyone can see that and understand what the numbers show.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Walsh.
Yeah, Chair Robinson, I had a similar background question for Mr. Kujala, and that is, what were the similar harvest numbers for the same period in the 2021 hunting season for
Commissioner Walsh,
316 and 313?
Commissioner Walsh, Chair Robinson, for the 2020 season in 313, 2.
Because of the quota being set.
Yes, a harvest of 2. I'm sorry, I'm just reconciling a couple of charts here. And in 316, a harvest of 0. So again, 313 harvest in 2020 was 2, quota was 1. 316 harvest in 2020, harvest was 0, quota was 1.
And how about for region 3?
Region 3 harvest 2020, harvest 96. 67 of those were hunted, 29 were trapped.
As of this date or as of the whole season?
Thank you, Chair Robinson. Those dates, those 2020 harvests are total season harvests, Chair Robinson.
I have Mr. Smith from Region 3 with his hand up, the wildlife manager, would you like to speak to something or do you have a question?
Commissioner Robinson, no, I'm not entirely sure what's going on with the electronics here, but I have not raised my hand.
Okay, you do have your hand, you're on here twice and one of them your hand is raised, but okay. Commissioner Tabor, did you have a question?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Quentin, a couple of questions. In the process of preparing for the motion that was ultimately made earlier in August, I believe, by the commission, and to support the concept that we would have both the overall goal of 450 wolves to be a threshold that would cause the commission to take pause and look at where we're at. And then the addition of breaking that down by region. What is the 82 wolves as a threshold to review harvest in Region 3? What does that represent relative to the potential impact on the deemed population of wolves contributing out of Region 3? Does that represent a maintenance of the population? Does it represent potentially creating now a decline in population, or will it really have no impact and the population will continue to increase?
Chair Robinson, Vice Chair Tabor, thank you much for the question. We believe that the harvest, the checkpoint of 82, if we reach that harvest, will likely result in a small population decline at the regional scale. Vice Chair Tabor.
Madam Chair, follow up.
Go ahead.
So if I understand the statutory charge for the commission, we have a statutory obligation to actually reduce the wolf population as a result of the specific language of shall, the commission shall reduce the population of wolves in the state of Montana as mandated by the legislation.
Chair Robinson, Vice Chair Tabor, yes, the statutory vocabulary in statute is as you have described, Vice Chair. It is a shall.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Quentin.
Thank you, Commissioner Byerth.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Quentin, the materials that were sent out by the Wildlife Division this week that analyzed the different aspects of harvest seem to indicate that the proportion of harvest along the park boundary was likely to cause a much more severe decline, whereas region-wide, this is a slight decline. So in effect, if we do hit that target of 82, then it is likely to cause some decline, but that's disproportionately affecting the Gardner Basin more than anything. Did I understand that correctly?
Chair Robinson, Commissioner Byerth, I do think that is an accurate characterization of where the harvest has come, where there has been that, again, per the first questions, that cluster of harvest in primarily 313, Commissioner Byerth. Again, we think that, so we think that do that at a couple of different scales in the conversation right now. This review prompted by a check-in point that's identified at the regional scale. You're speaking now to that local Gardner Basin scale.
Madam Chair, follow up.
Whoop, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. So what we have is on a regional scale, we're meeting a target, we're approaching a target, but in a localized scale in hunting districts 313 and 316, we're having a disproportionate impact that has resulted already in a population decline. Whether or not it'll bounce back, I guess that's a whole different question. So for that reason, Madam Chair, if you'd entertain a motion, I move that we close hunting district 313 and 316 for the remainder of the trapping and hunting season through, I think, March 15th.
Recording in.
I'll second that.
So, okay. We also, what we're here today to do though, is to discuss the threshold that is almost met. So that is something that we have to talk about and decide on today. Commissioner Siebel?
Madam Chair, I guess I'd like to suggest a friendly amendment to Commissioner Byer. And in addition to closing Wolf Management Units 313 and 316, that we continue to address your question, that we continue the rest of till we hit our objective of 82, our initial target of 82, that we leave the rest of Region 3 open until that target is met, and at such time we direct the department to proceed with closing the remainder of Region 3.
Commissioner Byerth, are you, will you accept that amendment?
Just so I make sure I understand Commissioner Siebel's motion, Madam Chair. I move that we had closed hunting districts 313 and 316 for the remainder of the season. And Commissioner Siebel's proposed amendment would leave the remainder of the region open until we reach that 82 wolf threshold.
Yes.
Yes, correct.
I guess my preference would be to stick with the existing motion and then have a follow-up separate motion so we can discuss both of them at 2 different scales.
Okay. I would, so I would like to have both motions before we go out for public comment.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Tabor.
I'd actually would not have the motion that as Commissioner Siebel suggested. What I would move is that regardless of the outcome of what Commissioner Byor's motion is, and perhaps this can't be done in this fashion, but I would make the motion that once the threshold of 82 is met for Region 3, that we instruct the department to initiate the 48-hour notice and close down the entire region. The goal was set as a region, not by district. And so I feel like the proper motion really is to focus on the region, and the threshold of 82 would be the right trigger point. And so that's the motion that I would like to make.
I think I'm going to need some direction from Becky because I'm not sure that conflicts with the motion that's on the table. So I'm not sure that we can take both motions at the same time.
Chair Robinson, commissioners, yes, I think because they conflict, you'd have to deal with Commissioner Byorth's motion first, and then the Commissioner Tabor's after that.
But this initial motion would have to fail in order to replace it with the other motion.
Yes, Chair, you're right.
Madam Chair, can I ask a question of council?
Go ahead.
Can we call for the question on Commissioner Byor's motion now prior to us going to public comment so we know exactly what we're going to public comment with?
Chair Tabor, just so I understand your question, are you suggesting that we would do a vote without public comment on the motion?
Just based on the way you phrased that, that's not really what the intent was. I clearly want to hear public comment. But, you know, I basically would want public comment on both motions, and that can't be achieved, obviously. So what I think I was doing, and perhaps Commissioner Siebel was doing, was trying to have, you know, essentially one round of public comment to inform the commissioners of what decision framework to go. But if they don't know, if we only have this one motion on the table, we don't know whether it will or won't pass, then I assume if we make another motion, it would be required to go back through the public comment process again.
Chair Robinson, Commissioner Tabor, that is right.
Madam
Are there-
Chair.
Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner Byers.
My resistance to the amendment is I didn't want to get suckered into going a region wide that got voted down if we could vote on the hunting district. I think the motion, the broader motion to close at the threshold would subsume my motion. And which is acceptable to me, of course. But I'd like a little direction from Ms. Doctor about the propriety of withdrawing my motion. And will there be another opportunity to revive that motion if the other motion fails?
Commissioner Byerth, Chair Robinson, Commissioner Byerth, the question about, so if I'm to understand the two motions, they seemed to conflict with each other, as Chair Robinson mentioned. Your motion, as I understand it, would close 313 and 316 and leave the remainder, if Commissioner Siebel's motion, friendly amendment, were to be added on there, it would have left Region 3 open, and you denied that amendment. And so I think what we were looking at was just closing 313 and 316. And so you can, Commissioner Byerth, remove your motion if that's what you prefer to do, and revive it through Commissioner Siebel's motion. And here we are not talking any specifics, but is that clear to you, Chair Robinson? Is that how you see it?
Yes, I think what Commissioner Siebel suggested does not conflict because it's covering the rest of the region.
Yes.
And what Commissioner Tabor suggested would conflict
Yes.
with. motion.
Madam Chair, I think that's misunderstood by council and yourself. I think what I heard Commissioner Byerth said is based on the language of the motion that I proposed, that he would actually pull his motion off the table. He's already rejected Commissioner Siebel's friendly amendment, but he would be willing to pull his motion off the table and then allow it to be replaced by either proffering it himself or me making the motion that we use the threshold of 82 as the instructions to close the region. Did I understand you correctly, Commissioner Byerth?
Madam Chair, Vice Chair Tabor, that's correct. I guess it's my motion becomes moot if we close the entire region at the 82 threshold.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'd like the opportunity to at least come back. If that motion were to fail, I'd like to direct it back to the point of strongest conflict at this point, which is down in 313 and 316. So with that said, in good faith, I will withdraw my motion to substitute it with that we first, I guess, the Vice Chair Tabor's motion is standing. Is that correct? Did it get a second?
No, because it
Couldn't make
Right.
it.
couldn't,
All right,
yes,
so
with your motion, so.
I'll withdraw my motion with Commissioner Walsh's permission as a second and reiterate a new motion, if that pleases you, Madam Chair.
Yeah, if it's Commissioner Walsh, are you in agreement with that?
I am.
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Byerth.
So my motion will be for the department to announce a full closure of wolf hunting and trapping in Region 3 upon meeting the threshold of 82 wolves in the region.
I will second that.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other questions or comments before we go out for public comment? Okay. I am going to, as always, public comment is limited to 2 minutes each, and I'm going to take a half an hour of public comment on this. We have this process we set a long time ago, back in August, and really we're here today to talk about meeting the threshold and what we're doing from here. I just want to remind everyone too that we have 6 other regions that we may have to do this with also. And so this is really a technicality of the process that we put into place. So are there any questions before I go out to public comment? Okay. All right, we'll start with public comment.
Madam Chair, I did want to point out that Quentin Kujula had his hand raised, and I don't know if he wants to clarify something for purposes of process or procedure.
Okay, thank you. I missed that. Go ahead.
Chair
Clint.
Robinson, Vice Chair Tabor, thank you. It is just a process clarification. We will be, with those directions for public comment times, we'll be sounding the alarm on this end, and hopefully it carry through the system.
Okay, thank you. All right. Is it Jessica or is that? Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, Chair Robinson and Commissioners. Yes, I'm ready to start public comment. I do have a timer set, but I do not know if it will come through the speakers clearly. And so I will be giving people that are providing comment also a verbal warning that their 2 minutes is up, just so folks are aware. Okay. So with that, I am unmuting Diana.
Okay, go ahead. She's
Diana,
still...
it appears that you are muted. If you could please press *6 to unmute. There you go.
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
My name is Diana Aguilar, and I'm from Martinsville, Indiana. And I guess I represent tourists that come to Yellowstone. My not sole purpose, I wanted to see all the wildlife, but one of my goals was to be able to see the wolves in their natural habitat. And I just like to say, I hope that President Biden will reenact the endangered species with wolves. And I would hope that in the future, the number of tags, I don't know what I know for elks, it's usually a tag, but I would hope that the number of wolves that can be hunted would be decreased by the committee. And that's what I'd like to say to the committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next commenter.
I have Rebecca Jones Folk, I believe is the last name.
Okay. *6 to unmute, please, and you can go ahead. Okay, you're still muted. There you go. Go ahead. Nope. No, your hand is okay. You're still muted. *6. Okay, we might have to go to the next person. One more try. There we go. Okay.
I have James Carlisle.
Okay, *6 to unmute. Okay, we seem to be having some issues with the muting. Mr. Carlisle, if you could push *6. Okay. All right, we're gonna have to go to the, okay, there you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. My main issue is I'm a Montana native, and I think the wolves venture out of the park. They're game because no other predator against them. They put the wolves in Bella Park. They had like a 2,500 elk tags in 13. Now the number of tags is below 100. So they had 30 decrease on wildlife in the state of Montana. And I just think if they out of the park, they considered fair game.
All right, thank you. Can we get the next caller, please?
I have Julie Argyle, please.
Okay, *6 to unmute. All right, you're still.
Can you hear me now? Yes, you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Madam Chair, Commissioners, my name is Julie Argyle. Thank you so much for letting me speak today. In the eyes of myself and many others, it is very disheartening that you have waited so long to address hunting and trapping in units 313 and 316. And by doing so, you have allowed many Yellowstone wolves to be killed. While I appreciate your consideration in this matter and thinking about closing this region because of the threshold of 82 wolves, quotas around the park still need to be reinstated. It's not just about wolves in general, it's about Yellowstone wolves. And I know that you are fully aware of the public outcry in regards to these wolves that are being killed, which is why we all feel that the quotas need to be reinstated. It's been said by Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks that once those Yellowstone wolves leave the park, they are considered Montana wolves. If you think about that in comparison, that's like saying if my dog leaves my yard and goes to the neighbor's yard and gets a treat from them, then that becomes their dog. That's one of the most ridiculous things that I have ever heard. That's an imaginary line for those wolves. They don't know the difference. Right now, 30% of Yellowstone wolves have been killed. If you continue to allow this hunting and baiting and trapping without those quotas around the park, that number is going to be a lot higher. Last year in the state of Montana, humankind killed over 28,000 elk. I dare say that there is a wolf problem. Please help protect these Yellowstone wolves. These are America's wolves. They matter to so many people. They bring so much revenue to the state of Montana. Tourists, communities, people that take people out to see their once in a lifetime sighting of a wolf. These wolves matter. Please reconsider the quotas around the park. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we get the next caller, please?
Sylvia Borganovo.
Okay. All right, go ahead. You're unmuted.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, my name is Sylvia Borganovo. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak today. I would like to say I am a Montanan and I'm not opposed to hunting. However, what is happening with the wolves is not hunting. When one can use so many methods to kill a species, it is not hunting. It is extermination. We should be celebrating and cherishing this magnificent North American animal. We should be using thoughtful wildlife management that is set at a high standard meaning that the decisions are based on science, not politics. Politics are poison. We have an opportunity to show the world how much Montana cares about its natural resources. We can show the world how coexistence is manageable. Let's together celebrate this beautiful North American mammal. Let's not be the ones to take our grandkids to a zoo to see a wolf, not on our watch or our children's. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
I have V. Santello.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
We can. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I am a Florida resident who spends a considerable amount of time in Montana, to a large degree because of the wolves. And I'm part of a community that is national, that is devoted to wildlife in general and wolves in specific. I appreciate and respect ranchers all over the country who keep their lands wild and who are hosts, for example, here in Florida, to the very endangered panther. And so I want to communicate the message of coexistence, finding that happy medium between ranching interests, hunting interests, the interests of a sustainable and healthy population. I'm not a scientist. I don't know that 82 versus 75 or whatever number is the appropriate number, and I'll trust that your work has determined that number. But it worries me that the mission of the committee is to decline the population. And I would urge the members of the committee to find a way to protect the wolves. They are a keystone species. They are an iconic North American mammal and predator. And we set an example internationally for how we deal with our predators. For example, African wildlife, lions versus rural communities, many of them look to Yellowstone. Whether or not they communicate that is a fact. I spend a lot of time in Africa. So thank you very much for this opportunity and for your collective wisdom. Please take care of our wolves.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
I have Mark Cook.
All right, go ahead. You're unmuted.
Great. Madam Chair, Commissioners, thanks for the opportunity to speak. My name is Mark Cook, and I'm with Wolves of the Rockies. Now is the time to stop the Yellowstone war on wolves, and for that matter, all Montana wolves. The damage you are doing to tourism and wolf research is staggering, and this is being driven by a handful of legislators and the Montana Outfitters and Guides Association. This has got to stop. I encourage you all to stop the hunting in 313, 316, and all the wolves in Montana. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
I have Steph 000.
Commissioners and Madam Chair, thank you for the opportunity. I'm Stephen Capra with Footloose, Montana. I want to mention to you that it's the 150th anniversary of Yellowstone this year, and Yellowstone was created to protect wildlife. That's the basis of the park. What we're doing is criminal around this park. It's a disgrace to the nation. People see it. I get calls from all across this country. We are allowing hunters and trappers who are giving pennies to this state for their actions that are destroying the wolves that people are spending thousands of dollars to come to this state and do. It's idiotic. We're allowing them to use bait. We're allowing them to put the carcass of a bison on the border. We're endangering people that are hiking in the park. Wildlife is self-regulated, and it's time that we grow up enough to understand and be mature enough in our decision-making to understand that wolves belong. We have record numbers of deer and elk in this state. We have a legislature that has an 1880s mentality that's driving this, and it's time for it to stop. Wolves don't just belong in Yellowstone, they belong across Montana, and the eyes of this country are watching you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
I have Kim Bean.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can, go ahead.
Hi, Chair Robinson and Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak once again on behalf of our Yellowstone Wolves. My name is Kim Bean and I am with Wolves of the Rockies. You know, the unfortunate truth is that this is not a war or win for our wolves, but a slight reprieve for some. I mean, as we heard earlier, you don't even know for sure if we have 76 or 78 wolves in Region 3 to date. We ask you the following, I ask actually, that you follow through with Commissioner Byor's request for closing 313 and 16. But I ask you, commissioners, what conservation objective was accomplished by killing these park wolves in 313 and 316? What was the economic objective? What was accomplished? Let me answer that for you. None whatsoever. There've only been 3 predations in these areas in a decade. The elk population are over objective in 313 and at objective throughout the state. So please explain to your constituents why you created this war on Yellowstone wolves. The question today is this: what are your plans for reinstating the quotas in 313 and 316? Or better yet, creating a safeguard of 0 wolves killed 313, 316, 310, and 320, knowing that your actions this season have not been based in science, but special interest. And because of that, we've lost 30% of our northern range wolves to an unnecessary target that you personally have put on them. I highly suggest that you look at this from both the economic and scientific perspective. Live wolves make money, dead wolves don't. So once again, I ask you, please pay attention to Mr. Byor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Kara McGarry.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I'll do it. Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My name is Kara McGarry. I am a biologist, owner of In Our Nature Guiding Services, and co-founder of Wild Livelihoods Business Coalition. I support closure of Region 3 on or before the 82 wolf harvest, and I support immediate closure of units 313 and 316. The new regulations since August have resulted in 20 wolves taken in wolf management units 313 and 316. 10% of the state's harvest has been in wolf management unit 313 alone, which is just 0.17% of the state's total area. If the 450 wolf harvest target was proportional to area, then only 1 wolf have been harvested in unit 313. What we got instead is a disproportionately high wolf killing where these animals have the most value alive. These wolves were from the Junction Butte, Rescue Creek, Phantom Lake, 8 Mile, and Wapiti Lake packs. Packs residing predominantly in Yellowstone that venture into Montana in winter following prey. The same packs that FWP's own biologists consider to be Yellowstone's research responsibility, the same packs that my clients pay me to help them see on every wildlife watching tour all year round. The packs that people spend tens of millions of dollars for the opportunity to see, the ones that give me, my employees, and my community in Gardner an opportunity to make a living. These are the most viewable wolves in the lower 48, if not the world. Their economic value cannot be overestimated. 30% of these northern range wolves are now gone. Phantom Lake pack has been eliminated. How would you expect any business person to respond to such a loss of essential supply? And what's the justification for this damage? Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Jane Hightower.
Yes, my name is Jane Hightower and I live in Georgia. But in 1988, Madam Chair, I came to Yellowstone with Big John Hagler. Big John was one of the original 5 rangers at Yellowstone in 1919. When we came in 1988, Big John was worried about the fire the year before and the damage that had been done, and he wanted to see, quote, how the old girl was healing, unquote, referring to Yellowstone. When we were there, he was in his 90s on this trip. When we were there, he told me stories about his time on horseback going around Yellowstone Park. He could remember where the paths were, where the overlooks were, where the the beautiful places were, and he could remember being able to see wolves in the wild and the thrill of that, and how his heart broke when within a couple of years, all those wolves had been killed. In 1995, wolves were reinstated in the park, but by then Big John Hagler had died. That broke my heart, that he couldn't see it. I hope from somewhere he knows that the wolves are back in the park. And I hope that the energy that he can send from his high place now can help you make decisions about protecting those wolves. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
I have Lisa Myers.
Star six.
Am I on? Am
Go
I
ahead.
here? Well, my name is Lisa Myers. I live in Colton, New York, just south of the Quebec border. And we are here now starting to have discussions about wolves coming across the border into St. Lawrence County. And I am taking this up for the second time in my life, as I was part of the 1995 wolf restoration in Yellowstone. It's our nation's most successful wildlife restoration. I'm so proud to have been part of it. And I believed at that time, and I'm still hopeful, that my grandchildren will be able to see wolves in the wild. Please restore the science-based wildlife management in units 313 and 316, which are adjacent to Yellowstone, for the remainder of the season, and reinstate the 2021 quotas of 1 in each unit. Better none, but you know, I'm negotiating everything. 10% of Montana's statewide wolf harvest came from units 313 and 316. These areas only represent 5% of the lands in the region. This is a crazy disproportionate number of overall hunting deaths of wolves. They are the Yellowstone wolves. There is no impact to elk on this border, no livestock depredation problems. Please close the wolf hunt on Yellowstone's north border, and please make better decisions in the future. Thank you so much to the commission for listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Chuck Alvarez, please.
Hi, this is Chuck Alvarez. Thank you for listening to me today. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
And Julie, about what they had said about the wolves and their populations and the decimation that's occurring, unfortunately, to the Yellowstone wolves and in 313 and 316 and the Region 3. I really hope that we can get control of our public lands and try to stabilize the situation, and hopefully we can put an end to the culling and the harvesting of wolves throughout the states and of course Montana specifically. I really appreciate that you're actually listening to us, because so many of us really care about the beauty and what they are and how necessary they are to the ecosystem. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you. Next caller.
Ashley, please.
Oh, hello, everyone. I wanted to say thank you, especially to Commissioner Byorth, for being the only one so far to really speak out on behalf of wolves. I echo Mark, Stephen, Kim, and everyone speaking out on behalf of wolves. I'd like to see Region 3 closed. It's time to really take a look at the reasons behind these hunts. Wolves are worth more alive than dead. Studies are showing taxpayers put more into conservation than hunters federally. More money comes to the states around Yellowstone from tourism to see wildlife than to kill it. I urge you to modernize wildlife management with biodiversity and biologists like Doug Smith leading the way, instead of letting those that live, that like to torture, kill, and poach, including the governor, dictate science. I hope Colorado goes in the opposite direction from the sad bloodbath that Montana has become. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Chris?
Hi,
Okay.
my name is Chris Servine. I live in Missoula and I represent the Montana Wildlife Federation. Montana Wildlife Federation is Montana's oldest wildlife conservation organization, and we represent the values of thousands of hunters, anglers, and other Montana citizens who value all wildlife in Montana. In 2011, the Montana Wildlife Federation led efforts to delist wolves and return wolf management to the state of Montana. Montana Wildlife Federation supports sustainable, ethical, fair chase hunting of wolves that is based on science and facts. The Montana Wildlife Federation, representing thousands of sportsmen and women in Montana, respectfully asks that the wolf hunting and trapping season in Region 3 be closed immediately. We also request that quotas for hunting districts 313 and 316 be reinstated to the previous limit of 1 wolf per unit. The removal of the quota in the hunting districts 313 and 316 lacked any biological justification. It has grievously harmed wolves in Yellowstone Park and the Yellowstone ecosystem and has resulted in resounding public opposition in Montana and across the United States. The Yellowstone wolves are perhaps the most widely appreciated and recognized wolves in the entire world, drawing tens of thousands of visitors and millions of dollars in tourism revenue annually to Montana families and local communities, while providing significant ecosystem benefits. The ongoing killing of wolves along the Yellowstone Park boundary will continue to embarrass Montana and increase the momentum to relist the wolves. The current misguided wolf management in Montana continues to generate overwhelming public opposition. I haven't heard one person testify today in favor of continuing to hunt wolves in Region 3. And it will certainly lead very close to relisting the wolf in Montana. The efforts of the legislature, Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, and the Fish and Wildlife Commission to drastically reduce Montana's wolf population lacks any scientific justification and instead is based on the whims of special interest groups.
We need to make time for the next callers. Thank you.
Comment.
Okay, next caller, please.
I have Phil Knight.
Hi, Phil here. Thanks for hearing me today. I appreciate the opportunity to address the commission. I also am a tour guide in Yellowstone National Park, and I show people Yellowstone year-round, including the wolves, and the joy and excitement on the face of these guests is profound when they get to see wolves. It's a lifetime experience. Estimated these wolves generate $75 to $80 million in direct revenue in Montana. That would put the price of a wolf at somewhere around $600,000 or $700,000. And while I hate to monetize these animals, that seems to be what public officials listen to is money. And so these wolves have many values, and that's one of them. Other values include the help in controlling chronic wasting disease. That's a disease that, as you know, is affecting cervids across Montana and is spreading and is always fatal. Wolves, as you know, target the weak and the sick. They can help to slow the spread of chronic wasting disease. You also hear just today, there's an article about Yellowstone's bison and possibly a new management plan and concerns that, there's too many bison. Also, too many elk in the Gardner Basin, Yellowstone, or the Paradise Valley. Wolves can help with all that. And they do it for free. They don't charge us money for their services. So I urge you to immediately end the hunting in Region 3. I'm disappointed Mr. Byorth's proposal was dropped. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have Stephen Hussey.
Okay, am I on?
Yes, you are. Go ahead.
Thank you for letting me speak today. My wife and I live in California. We've been visiting Gardner specifically and the entire Montana and Yellowstone area for over 15 years. The place and the people are wonderful. The one thing that captivated us, however, was we saw the unique and beautiful nature of the wolves within the Yellowstone Park. And it's the thing that draws us back multiple times each year to watch the wolves generation after generation. We come and stay in your hotels, we rent homes, we rent RVs, we rent trailers, we visit restaurants, we book hiking tours, photography tours, we buy souvenirs and more. And when we come home, we don't forget. We buy from your businesses online, we donate to your organizations locally, we follow stories online, we talk to our friends and colleagues and encourage them to visit. We're part of a worldwide community of people that value what you have on your doorstep. And wolf tourism brings in multiple millions of dollars of revenue in each year. We also watch the escalating cull of the wolves that you're facilitating here today, candidly in horror. On a daily basis, we learn of the death of a wolf we have personally watched from pup to adult over years of visits. It makes us seriously question if this is the place we want to keep coming to. If the catalyst that drew us here is exterminated. There are other parks in other states and other countries we could invest ourselves in. We want to keep coming to Montana. We ask you to work to balance what we value alongside other communities. The escalation of the culling is happening year after year. This indicates that you are currently not taking this into account. Please close Region 3 and de-escalate the culling next year, please.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
I have Maureen Gustafson.
Okay, I think this is our last caller. Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Chair Robinson and commissioners, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. My suggestion is to close the wolf hunt and to change the focus of the committee to focus on implementing non-lethal science-based coexistence. Wolves are an essential part of the ecosystem. We must do our best to ensure that these animals continue to thrive and do their job in the ecosystem. Special interest groups, including ranchers and trophy hunters, are minorities and are only interested in their own profit or gain and should not be influencing wolf policy. Wolf policy should be developed based on science, not on these special interest groups, to ensure a healthy planet for future generations. And I thank you for considering my comments.
Right, thank you. So that will conclude our public comments for today. Commission, do you have any further questions or comments before we go to a vote? Commissioner Walsh.
Thanks, Chair Robinson. I did have a question for Ken McDonald or the Region 3 biologist in charge of wolves. And I'm interested to know, while we have a statutory obligation to manage to objective by region, was there a target in wolf management units 313 and 316? What I mean by that, of the 82 total that we targeted for the region, what was expected to come from 313 and 316?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Walsh, this is Ken McDonald. I'm the Wildlife Division Administrator with Fish, Life and Parks. And, we didn't have any specific objective for those districts or those wolf management units. Those were established near the beginning of the wolf harvest when wolves were delisted by the previous commission with quotas around those. And so they've had quotas for almost every year since wolves have been delisted. We've never had a specific objective for those, though, in answer to your question.
I have a follow-up question.
Sure, go ahead.
Does the state FWP biology staff coordinate with Yellowstone National Park in any way in managing these two management units?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Walsh, not specifically, I know, our field staff and their field staff coordinate on, when we're doing population counts and part of, at least historically, is when we identify packs and pack locations of, so we don't double count them, across the range, coordinate in that effect, but the management itself, we don't necessarily coordinate.
Commissioner.
Madam
Taber?
Chair.
Go ahead.
Madam
One
Chair.
more follow-up.
Yep, just to offer for consideration to Commissioner Byorth, based on that, we have, my understanding, 6 more wolves to kill in one way or another in Region 3. And I think we'll probably easily get to that quota. I would like Commissioner Byorth to consider an amendment to his current motion to stop the hunting in units 313 and 316 effective today, and continue on meeting the quota in other hunting units. And the reason I'm offering this amendment, Commissioner Byorth, is we received a letter from the superintendent of Yellowstone National Park requesting us to do so. And I know they have a strong biological staff looking at these issues. And I also believe this is very consistent with the feedback we've received from numerous people who value the wolves in Yellowstone National Park. So if you would consider that, I'd appreciate it.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Walsh, I concur with your amendment.
Commissioner Taber, you had the second on that?
I do not concur with the amendment.
Are there any other comments?
Madam Chair, I have a couple of questions for staff.
Sure, go ahead.
I suspect either for Ken McDonald or Quentin. If we look at the harvest in 2020-21, there was 96 wolves taken, and that was during the period where there was the severe limitations on 313 and 316. Is it conceivable that of those 96 wolves, several of them were in fact, quote, Yellowstone wolves?
Chair Robinson. Go ahead, Ken. Go ahead, Ken.
Okay, Chair Robinson, Vice Chair Taber. Of those 96, I think the quota in that 313, 316 was 2. And so, there could be, because those are small units, there could be some of those 96 could have been wolves that occupied part of 313 and 316 during parts of the time, because they will have fairly large home ranges. Whether you call them Yellowstone wolves or not, I guess, is another question. We kind of view a wolf that's outside of the park as a Montana wolf.
And a follow-up question, Madam Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Taber.
So in that regard, in the concept of a Yellowstone wolf, and the ones that have identified in 313 or 316, how is the determination that those are in fact wolves, other than their proximity to the park? How is that determined? Because as I understand it, wolves have a range of up to 60 miles. So it could be a wolves really from anywhere or everywhere, including outside 313, 316. And I guess I'd like the department to comment why the recommendation came in the first place to manage these on a regional basis versus on a kind of a microscopic district basis.
Chair Robinson, Vice Chair Taber, the first part of your question, I guess, is, there is quite a bit of information on wolves that primarily inhabit Yellowstone Park that is maintained by Yellowstone, and so I'm surmising here, but I'm guessing that some of the numbers and the talk you're hearing about these are Yellowstone wolves is based on information from the park about, duration of time those wolves spend, in the park versus outside of the park. We'd have to confirm that with the park to be sure, but again, we haven't really differentiated that because we're not managing at that level. And in terms of a region versus other unit levels or scales, up until this year, we've pretty much managed at a statewide level, with those exception being those 2 management units north of the Yellowstone Park, 313 and 316, and then we had a similar very small unit just outside of Glacier that previous commissions had established with those quotas. And until this year, we really looked at things on a statewide basis. And if you look at the numbers and the annual reports and things, everything was pretty stable across the board. And those quotas around the parks were put in, again, primarily for based on social considerations versus our biological recommendations.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Are there any further questions from any commissioners? All right. Commissioner Lane.
Yes, I was just going to give an update. I added up that all the districts within Region 3, and it looks like we're at 78, not 76. So I mean, we're within 4 of our shutdown threshold, and so I just wanted to correct that. Thank you.
All right. Are there any other comments? Commissioner Siebel.
Sorry, Madam Chair, look dark in the photo here. Just to ask Commissioner Lane, I guess one of the issues that's a little bit confusing here is that we're talking about hunting district or hunting region number 3, because I've got the map up here. There is a wolf management unit that's 390 that goes into Region 5 and Region 4. So I guess I just want to make sure that we're all talking. So I'm just using what's on the dashboard under Region 3 as what's been harvested. So I guess I just want to make sure that we're all clear. We're only talking about a couple, but obviously details and accuracy is important here.
Mr.
So
McDonald, could you cover that, Mr. McDonald, on the counts?
Yeah, Madam Chair, Commissioner. So I've just been, similar to what Commissioner Siebel said, the dashboard is showing 76 harvested in Region 3. If I heard Commissioner Lane right, he was adding up the WMU by WMU. So I stepped out right as he was finishing up to ask staff to please look into that, and we'll get you an answer any minute.
Okay. Either way, it's going to be within 2 of, let me see, they're 76 or 78. So it's fairly close, before 6 from the threshold that we set. If everyone's comfortable and there are no more questions, I think I'll call for a vote on the motion. So all those in favor of the motion on the table for Region 3 to stop hunting when the threshold of 82 is met. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Okay. I do have public comment for things that are items that are not on the agenda. I will set 10 minutes for that if there's anyone on the phone. Just a reminder that it has to be something that is not currently on the agenda. So are there any, you have to raise your hand if, please I know you still have hands raised for the previous agenda item. So you'll need to lower your hand for that. And then if there is someone who would like to speak.
Yeah. Chair Robinson, I'm going to lower everybody's hands and then have them re-raise if that is okay.
That would be perfect. That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to lower all hands now. And if you would like to speak to anything that was not on the agenda, please raise your hand. We do have a few hands raised, so I'm going to go ahead and Casey York, please.
Go ahead. Casey York, I don't see.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, Madam Chair, Commissioners. This is hard, I hear an echo, sorry. Couple of things I wanted to say. The wolf harvest reports that are on the website do not provide regions, the total regions. So that's a little confusing when when someone like us totals up how many were reported over the years for those units in Region 3, with 390 being a little confusing and being in several different units. The other thing, I think it would be very helpful. I know you have a lot to do on your end, but so do we as stewards and concerned citizens of our wildlife. And when we dedicate, a great deal of our time and our day and compiling all the information and don't know in advance, we're only going to have 30 minutes. It's one thing to limit the 1 minute or 2 minute comments, but I have been sitting on this phone the whole time waiting to be called and thought, why didn't that ever happen? And then I was told it was 30 minutes. I certainly spent more than 30 minutes today working on this. So for future consideration, really would, when we hear from some of you that you want to hear from the public, please give us that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller.
I have Lisa Myers.
Hi, please could you state the motion that was just passed clearly?
It was that Region 3, when it meets the threshold of 82, will be closed for hunting as a whole.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, it should be clarified that that's hunting and trapping. So all
Right.
forms of harvest will end in Region 3.
Thank you for that clarification.
Horrible.
Next caller.
Mark Cook.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Mark Cook with Wolves of the Rockies. I think I echo Casey York's comments. I respectfully complain for the people that didn't get the opportunity to speak, but took the time to come here. In the past, I've been doing this for 10 or 15 years. We have never been allotted 30 minutes to speak. That's ridiculous. If people take the time to come here and speak, it's the commissioner's responsibilities to listen to them, whether you agree with them or not. That's just wrong. And lastly, I think it's time in Montana. About 8 years ago, Idaho had what they called a wildlife summit. And they pulled all the interested stakeholders together in Idaho to discuss where they want wildlife management to go in that state. Well, obviously, the non-consumptive, the non-hunting, the wildlife enjoying public isn't being represented very well with this commission and the senior leadership at FWP. It's time the department put together a Montana Wildlife Summit, and we will contribute heavily to help the department put this together and pull all interested stakeholders, organizations, and individuals into many rooms on the same days, going over the same things to come up with a plan where we want our wildlife management to go in Montana. Because as of now, it seems like it's the outfitters and guides that are getting everything they want. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Next caller.
I have Robin Humsich.
Go ahead.
That's Robin Humpish. Chair Robinson and commissioners. My name is Robin Humpish from Bozeman. I'm a hunter and not opposed to predator hunting. Between 2000 and 2003, I was a member of the Montana Wolf Management Advisory Council that helped FWP sculpt the management plan. After the first hunting season, we returned to Helena and we were in unanimous agreement with FWP's establishment of wolf management units 101, 313, and 316, each with a low quota. I thank you for the vote that just occurred, stopping harvest of wolves at 82 in Region 3, but I would appreciate it if you would reconsider Commissioner Bior's original suggestion of closing 313 and 316 today. Thank you so much for the tremendous effort and personal sacrifice that is required to do all of this work. I so appreciate it. Thank you.
Next caller, please.
I have a Noni.
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Great, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Nani Gerber. As the owner of a rescue dog, Indiana, that lived in the wild and was shot mistaken for a wolf, I stand with Wolves of the Rockies, Footloose Montana, and all the organizations and people fighting to save wolves in the horrific war on wolves in the Northern Rockies. Montana was long championed as a leader in conservation. The new wolf hunt across the state flies in the face of conservation and humanity. Wolves are the iconic symbol of America. The world travels to Yellowstone to see Yellowstone wolves, and people around the globe are appalled by the inhumanity and barbaric way the wolves are being killed off. I support an immediate ceasefire to the war on wolves in the entire state of Montana and in District 313 and 316. I also support an immediate end to the District 3 hunt. I hope the U.S. Interior will look at the price paid to Yellowstone wolves and the need to now hopefully stop the hunts in District 313 and 316 because of the public outcry after the elimination of Yellowstone wolves, and immediately emergency relist wolves. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Next caller.
Dagmar Riddle.
No, it wasn't, Lorenzo, because people are waking up and going, hey, what is with it? That's why I said we need a wildlife summit.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Oh, it's bullshit, Lorenzo. I'm almost thinking.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oops, go ahead.
Okay,
Yes.
my name is Dagmar Riddle. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. My name is Dagmar Riddle and I live in Whitehall, Montana. And that means I live in Region 3, and I'm really angry that I wasn't able to speak previously, that you only gave 30 minutes total. I've been a longtime advocate for wolves. I represent Campaign for Yellowstone's wolves. I have tabled in the park to stop the hunting of wolves around the park borders. I have a comment to say that I would like the commission to make Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks start counting wolves. How can you have a 85% hunting of wolves when you don't even know the numbers? I'm really angry about this. I'm sorry. There's estimates, and the estimates change for whatever agenda is going on. Usually it's 800 to 900 wolves. And then when you want to kill them all, then it's, at least 1,200 wolves. We need accurate counts. And what you are doing with the decisions that you made on this wolf hunting is against the Pittman-Robertson Act. And we are working to take Pittman-Robertson funds from Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks unless you start managing wolves conservatively and conserve them and protect the populations. They are a necessary animal on their habitats, on their ranges, and they belong. I'm just so angry that what is going on with the wolves, and immediately shut down units 313 and 316 and put at 0 quotas, or if you have to have a quota 1. It's awful. These wolves that have so much money been put into them in Yellowstone do not need to die for trophy hunters. It's just sickening. And I'm demanding that you do something to stop the extermination of wolves in Montana, especially in the park and around the park. Those are political borders, not natural borders. Animals do not recognize our political borders, and they all deserve protection. Thank you for listening to me, and thank you, Commissioner Pat Byrath, for being for wildlife and listening to us. Thank you so much. You are a hero.
Okay, thank you. And we have reached our time limit for comments not on the agenda. So is there, Mr. McDonald, I guess you had your hand up. Do you have numbers?
Yeah, Madam Chair. So we confirm that the harvest in Region 3 is 76. What I think is confusing people is we have in Region 3, there's Wolf Management Unit 390, which includes portions of Region 4 and Region 5. So there has been, I think, 2 or 3 wolves harvested in Region 4 and 5 portion of 390. So the Region 3 wolf harvest as of today, right now, is 76.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that clarification.
Yeah, sorry for that confusion.
Oh, no, that's all right. Thank you. Becky, are you still on?
I am still here, Chair.
Would you mind speaking to the 30-minute time limit and the amount of times that we have received comment, please?
Chair Robinson, Commissioners, yes, I would be happy to speak to that. The 30-minute time limit has been one that the chair has implemented before. In addition, the 2 minutes is one that the chair has consistently applied across the subject matters on the agenda. And as for this agenda item in particular, August 20th was an opportunity to discuss and to comment on the 82 threshold number in Region 3. It was specifically part of the motion on August 20th, and this commission took public comment at that time as well. So this is the second time that there has been public opportunity for comment on this subject matter. And so that, I think, addresses the issue for you, Chair. If there's other questions on that, please let me know.
Okay, yep, that covers it. Thank you. And are there any other comments or questions or anything else the commission has before we adjourn? Oh,
Madam Chair, I just one other additional question for Councilor Doctor. The opportunity for the public to have submitted all their written comments, is that part and parcel also considered part of the whole public commenting process when we consider the ability to input to commissioners?
Chair Robinson, Commissioner Tabor, yes, thank you for that clarification. What I failed to mention was the opportunity for written public comment as well. I believe that public comment did not stop after the August 20th commission meeting, and that this commission has received a number of public comment on these matters. But the written public comment, the motion that came on August 20th with the regional numbers was really presented at the commission meeting for the first time. So it was taken in person during that time. So any public comment that came in after that was still received, but it would have been after the decision. Chair Robinson.
Thank you. Any other, Commissioner Byorth?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So I presume that if the targets in any other region are met or approached, we will have a similar meeting. Is that the plan?
Yes. Yep. I think I mentioned that to begin with all of the regions, we've set these thresholds. So I am trying to call the meetings together when it's close, I guess, to meeting the threshold so that we can make a decision. So yes, we could have another meeting or two, or I don't know, we'll see. But we have 6 other regions that have thresholds that we could possibly have this same meeting. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, I just want to thank everyone for taking the time and appreciate everything that everyone does, especially the FWP staff. Thank you for everything, and I will adjourn our meeting